Hi students, welcome to yet another session of my class. We are discussing the paper word classics. Let us continue the portion. Today we are going to discuss about Virgil. In the previous class we discussed about Greek literature, Roman literature, and one of the important figures in Greek literature, that is Homer. Today we are going to discuss about Virgil, one of the important figures in Roman literature. Publius Virgilius Maro was a classical Roman poet of the Augustan period. Yes, he is considered to be one of the important figures in Roman literature. And he is best known for three major works. They are the Bucolics, or otherwise called the Eclogues, the Georgics, and the Aeneid. These three are his famous or most important works. His influence on the world's literature has been immeasurable. That is, through his writings, he influenced the whole world. His influence on the world's literature has been immeasurable, and his works have continuously read throughout the Middle Ages and up to the present day. That is, almost all his works are relevant, and his works have continuously read throughout the Middle Ages and up to the present day. Even today, it is relevant. And his epic, the Aeneid, is considered as Rome's national epic and has served as a model of literature. His very famous and important epic poem, one of the important works in classical literature, that is the Aeneid. So his epic poem, the Aeneid, is considered as a Rome's national epic. This particular work is considered as Rome's national epic and has served as a model of literature. This earliest poetry reveals a formidable literary training. The Bucolics were a huge popular success and the poems were performed on stage. That is one of his important works. That is the Bucolics, otherwise called the Eclogues. The Bucolics were a huge popular success and the poems were performed on stage, and more than 400 years after its publication. They were recited in the streets of Rome by Christian priests who should have been reciting psalms. And regarding Virgil, I already told you his very important work, that is the Aeneid, his epic poem, the Aeneid. It is considered as Rome's national epic. And let us discuss something about the Aeneid. Virgil's epic, that is the Aeneid, is considered his magnum opus as well as Rome's national epic, and it has served as a model of literature. And it tells the legendary story of Aeneas. Yes, what is the storyline of this epic poem? It tells the legendary story of Aeneas, a Trojan who traveled to Italy, where he became the ancestor of the Romans. That is the storyline of Aeneid. And it comprises 9,896 lines in dactylic hexameter. Yes, it is a lengthy poem. It's a lengthy poem. That's why it is called epic. It comprises 9,896 lines in dactylic hexameter, and the work is organized into 12 books. The work is organized into 12 books that relates the story of the legendary founding of Lavinium. Yes, it relates the story of the legendary founding of Lavinium. Then Homer was Virgil's model. Homer, we already discussed in the previous class, one of the important literary figures in Greek literature. This Homer was Virgil's model, and the story of Aeneas' journey in the first 6 books. Yes, the first 6 books patterned the story of Aeneas' journey is described in the first 6 books of Aeneid, and it is patterned after the Odyssey. That is, it is modeled on Odyssey, Odyssey by Homer. That is, it is patterned after the Odyssey with the many imitative passages and even direct translations. While the description of the war in the last six books, that is, last six books of the Aeneid, it describes the description of the war, and it is modeled after there in the those in the Iliad. That means Homer was Virgil's model, and he wrote this particular work, that is the Aeneid, on the basis of Homer's famous works Iliad and Odyssey. First six books modeled on Odyssey and the last six books modeled after those in the Iliad. It is based on these two famous works, that is Iliad and Odyssey. This is about Aeneid. It is important because Virgil is Virgil and his very famous epic poem, the Aeneid. It is important for 2-mark question, 1-mark question, etc. So please note that, yes, Virgil is a classical Roman poet of the Augustan period, and his very famous epic poem, that is the Aeneid. And it is considered as Rome's national epic and has served as a model of literature. It is based on, and Homer was Virgil's model, and this particular story, not story, the epic poem, that is the Aeneid, is the story of Aeneas' journey. In the first six books, it is patterned after the Odyssey, and the last six books, that is the description of the war, it is modeled after those in the Iliad. That is based on Odyssey and Iliad. I think all of you understand this poet, a Roman poet. Next, we are going to discuss about Sophocles. Sophocles is one of the three ancient Greek tragedians. Yes, Sophocles is one of the three ancient Greek tragedians who was famous for his tragedies. In the third module, we are going to study one play, one drama by Sophocles, that is Antigone. So he is considered to be one of the great ancient Greek tragedians, and he was famous for his tragedies. His early plays were written later than those of Aeschylus and earlier than or contemporary with those of Euripus. That is, his early plays were written later than those of Aeschylus. That is, in between the time period of Aeschylus and his contemporary Euripus. His early plays were written later than those of Aeschylus and earlier than or contemporary with those of Euripus. That is, his early plays were written in between the time period of Aeschylus and Euripus. That is the other two great Greek tragedians, Sophocles, Aeschylus, and Euripus. And Sophocles is considered to be one of the three ancient Greek tragedians. Another two were Aeschylus and Euripus. He was the most celebrated playwright in the dramatic competitions of the city-state of Athens. He was the most celebrated playwright in the dramatic competitions of the city-stage of Athens. The most famous tragedies of Sophocles feature Oedipus and also Antigone. The most famous tragedies of Sophocles that feature, one is Oedipus. You all are very familiar with this name, Oedipus Rex. That is Oedipus, and also Antigone, that we are going to study in the third module. The most famous tragedies of Sophocles. They are generally known as Theban plays. Yes, this Oedipus, Antigone, they are generally known as Theban plays. He influenced the development of drama. The Sophocles, his contributions, his writings, he influenced the development of drama, most importantly by adding a third actor, thereby reducing the importance of the chorus in the presentation of the plot. Yes, we all know that when we consider this ancient Greek tragedies, or when we consider the ancient Greek works, the role of chorus was very important. and the number of characters in the plays are limited. That means one or two characters, main characters, and the important thing is chorus. And Sophocles, his contributions or his writings, he influenced the development of drama, most importantly by adding a third actor. That is his contribution to the development of drama. That is the introduction of a third actor in the plays, and thereby reducing the importance of the chorus in the presentation of the plot. And he also developed his characters to a greater extent than earlier playwrights such as Aeschylus. That is in his writings, yes, he introduced only one or two characters and gave much importance to the chorus. But Sophocles introduced a third actor or third character in his plays, and thereby reducing the importance of the chorus in the presentation of the plot. And he also developed his characters to a greater extent compared with the other playwrights or Aeschylus, etc., than earlier playwrights. The typical Sophoclean drama presents a few characters, impressive in their determination and power, and possessing a few strongly drawn qualities. That is the presentation of his characters. The typical Sophoclean drama that presents a few characters, that is more than two characters, then impressive in their determination and power, that is the expression of that particular character, their determination, power, their role, and also these characters possesses some qualities, that is possessing a few strongly drawn qualities. That is the development or his contributions for the development of, yes, drama. All these qualities or faults combined with a particular set of circumstances lead them to tragic fate. All these qualities, that is that determination, power, or that the qualities possessed by these characters, all these qualities or faults combined with a particular set of circumstances that lead them to tragic fate. He develops his characters rush to tragedy with great economy, concentration, and dramatic effectiveness. He also emphasizes that most people lack wisdom. Yes, through his writings, he also emphasizes that most people lack wisdom, and he presents truth in collision with ignorance, delusion, and folly. He presents truth in collision with ignorance, delusion with and folly, and his language responds flexibly to the dramatic needs of the moment. That is his language. The language he has used in his writings. His language responds flexibly to the dramatic needs of the moment. It can be highly decorative or perfectly plain and simple. Like, according to the needs or dramatic needs, the language may be, yes, varying. Or language responds flexibly. It can be highly decorative or perfectly plain and simple according to the dramatic needs of the moment. His mastery of form and diction was highly respected by his contemporaries. That is a significant contribution. That is Sophocles. He made a significant contribution to development of Greek tragedies, early ancient Greek tragedies. That is addition of characters, then representation of characters, that is their qualities, then reducing the role of chorus in plays, then the combination of all these the qualities of these characters or faults combined with a particular set of circumstances that lead them to tragic fate. And he also emphasizes that most people lack wisdom, and he presents truth in collision with ignorance, delusion, and folly, etc. Then his language, that is his language responds flexibly. He used Yes, flexible languages to meet the dramatic needs. That is, responds flexibly to the dramatic needs of the moment, and it can be highly decorative. His language may be highly decorative or perfectly plain and simple. And his mastery of form and diction was highly respected and appreciated by his contemporaries. That is compared with the Aeschylus and Euripus, the other two great tragedians, Greek tragedians. I think all of you understand about Sophocles. Next is Aeschylus. Aeschylus was one of the great writers of Greek tragedy in 5th century classical Athens, along with Sophocles, or just before the Sophocles. Aeschylus was one of the great writers of Greek tragedy in 5th century classical Athens, and he was known as the father of tragedy. This Aeschylus was known as the father of tragedy. Aeschylus, Sophocles, Euripus. These three are the great tragedians, Greek tragedians. So Aeschylus was known as the father of tragedy. The playwright wrote up to 90 plays, winning with half of them at the great Athenian festivals of Greek drama. That is, he wrote almost 90 plays during his lifetime, and winning with half of them at the great Athenian festivals of Greek drama. Most of his plays won prize, or winning with half of them at the great Athenian festivals of Greek drama. That is, most of his dramas, half of his dramas or plays won prizes at the great Athenian festivals of Greek drama. And perhaps his most famous work is Prometheus Bound. Yes, his very famous work, that is Prometheus Bound, which tells the myth of the Titan punished by Zeus, god Zeus, for giving humanity the gift of fire. That is the storyline of Prometheus Bound. It tells the myth of the Titan punished by god Zeus for giving humanity the gift of fire. All of his surviving plays are still performed today in theatres across the world. Some of his plays have, yes, damaged or destroyed, and some of his plays have survived. All of his surviving plays are still performed today in theatres across the world. An innovator of the genre. Genre means this Greek tragedy, and he is considered as the father of tragedy. So, an innovator of this particular genre, Aeschylus is said to have described his work as morsels from the feast of Homer. He himself, that is, Aeschylus is said to have described his work. He himself described his work as morsels from the feast of Homer. Morsels means small amount of food, a piece of food, etc. So morsels from the feast of home. He himself considered his work. He is said to have, Aeschylus is said to have described his work as morsels from the feast of Homer. That means Homer, yes, he contributed his contributions was very significant in Greek literature. That is Homer, that is Iliad, Odyssey, and other writings. That is, Homer was considered as one of the great literary figures in classical literature as well as Greek literature. And feast in the sense means his contributions, his writings, that is his contributions in classical as well as Greek literature. So, Aeschylus is said to have described his work as morsels, that is a small piece of food from the feast, means is a large quantity of food. So, he considered his work as morsel, a small piece, a small amount from the feast of Homer. Tragic plays were restricted by certain conventions, and the theme was always mythological with elements of religion and family affairs. Yes, tragic plays were restricted. I already told you, in the early period, the characters are presented in a limited manner, that is one or two characters. and the presence of chorus was very important, and the representation or the presentation of theme, that is tragic plays were restricted by certain conventions, and Sophocles gave significant contributions for the development of Greek drama, that is addition of characters, reducing the presence of role of chorus, then theme, etc. So tragic plays were restricted by certain conventions and theme, and the theme of these tragic plays were always mythological with elements of religion and family affairs. The number of actors engaged in speaking roles were limited. That is, during this Aeschylus period, the number of actors engaged in speaking roles were limited in tragedies or early Greek tragedies, plays. A chorus consisted of 12 or 15 singers, and all actors were males wearing masks. That is, there was no female characters at that time. And a chorus consisted of 12 or 15 singers, and all actors were males wearing masks. According to Aristotle, he was responsible for adding a second actor for minor parts. And Sophocles is considered as was responsible for adding a third character, and Aeschylus was responsible for adding a second actor for minor parts. That was his contribution to Greek drama, especially tragedy. According to Aristotle, that is Aeschylus was responsible for adding a second actor for minor parts and by including more dialogue into his plays. He was also credited as the first to use the ecchylema. What do you mean by this ecchylema? A wheeled platform used to change stage scenery. So he was also credited as the first to use this ecchylema. Ecchylema means a wheeled platform used to change stage scenery. And the mechane is a crane device used to lift actors according to the dramatic moments. So this Aeschylus, his contributions, he was responsible for these developments. That is, he was also credited as the first to use the ecchylema, that is a wheeled platform used to change the stage scenery, and also mechane, that is a crane device used to lift actors according to the dramatic moments of that particular play. In general, though he continued to write within the very strict bounds of Greek drama, his plays were written in verse. No violence could be performed on stage, and the works had a strong moral and religious emphasis. I already told you there was so much restrictions that is existing in the early period. This in general, though he continued to write within the very strict bounds of Greek drama. He continued to write. His plays were written in verse. Most of his plays were written in verse, and no violence could be performed on stage, and the works had a strong moral and a religious emphasis. Even though, yes, he continued to write within the very strict bounds of Greek drama. His plays were written in verse. No violence could be performed on stage, and the works had a strong moral and a religious emphasis. I think all of you understand about Aeschylus. It is considered as the father of Greek tragedy. Father of tragedy, and one of the important figures in Greek literature, one of the important tragedians. The other two are Sophocles and Euripus. I think all of you understand this session, and there is a homework for you, and the homework is write a note on Virgil, Sophocles and Aeschylus. Write your homework and send back to me through WhatsApp. Thank you. Have a nice day. See you again.